Hello you guys, so today we're going to be testing this 5700G motherboard for any artifacting. We had figured it was probably the culprit, if not maybe the culprit. On our last few videos, if you actually checked, we had the 1080 Ti that we tested, we firm-marked it, we did pretty much vigorous testing, and we weren't able to figure out anything wrong with the card, so our other option would have been the CPU. It is possible that maybe our temperatures were a little high, maybe something software related was going on that would have made this artifacting situation happen. I'm not really sure, but we're going to test this and kind of see if it's the 5700G itself that caused artifacting. We have pretty much narrowed it down that it was not the 1080 Ti. The 1080 Ti is still kicking, doing very well. But yeah, so we're going to get into that and try to figure that out. Again, if you guys haven't watched any of these videos, this is actually my Ryzen 7 5700 computer system. I actually set up a test bench. You guys can kind of see it. It's actually on Thingiverse. You can get this exact one. It's an upright one. What I did was I actually printed out the legs for underneath the power supply. I'm going to actually make some legs for under the motherboard as well because I really want that graphics card to be upright. I don't want it on an angle. It doesn't really make much sense to have it at an angle, especially if you're getting into larger graphics cards. You know, you're gonna have bending and twisting and all that. But yeah, we're gonna get into checking out the system. We're gonna test firmware. Unlike usual, generally I do Heaven Bench. We're not gonna be doing Heaven Bench today. Let's see. We're actually going to be doing superposition. I heard that was a little better for like testing for artifacting. Maybe it's a little more rigorous. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to test that. Right. So let's check our temperatures. We'll go over a couple things. I didn't really want to go into too far on setting up windows like I normally do. These videos get a little crazy, a little long, and I don't really want that for this video. This is just, is this a problem? Is our CPU okay? Can we use this as a test bench? And what's our next graphics cards to test out? So, okay, so as you guys can see, we have our voltages. I don't see anything crazy. That's usually where it sits at 1356. Let's see. Here's our temperatures. Okay, our temperatures are not bad for what I would consider close to an idle. Our clocks, let's find those. Alright, so we're sitting anywhere from 3600 to like 4.6. Okay. Our GPU, which is just the APU on the 5700G. Okay. Alright, so we'll keep that. We're going to start our superposition to see if anything clearly obvious is showing. Let's do that. Oh, that's true. I always forget it's a APU, so it's not gonna run VRAM limit reached. Oh, okay. It's Oh man. So we're saying go lower than that? Wow, I didn't even think about this. Gonna run it anyways under 720 low. This chip is good for 720p for most games. That's pretty much where this 5700G would have been at. Like a good 720p. 30 FPS. It's really. I mean, there's been a lot of optimization, especially with all the updates that they've put out. I don't know the exact number to which the update we just downloaded for the system is, but I'm sure it's, I would say it's probably fairly recent. There we are. So we're going to be testing that. Let's see. I kind of look that up too while we're here. And of course, keep an eye out for any artifacting or any oddball things going on. When was the last 5700G update? Actually, would have been, the recommended would be AMD Software Adrenaline Edition 26.1.1, which is what I have now, released on 26/01/21, so 2026. Suitable for 11, 10, and 11. So it's a fairly recent update. It's most of these things when they're updated, they end up being a lot better. So, I mean, even if you looked at like the 6700 XT or the 5700 XT, those cards when they first came out were rough. It just was what it was. We had to wait for updates, and I'm just glad the updates came out. Those cards ended up being a lot better than they were from the initial launch, and I'm sure this APU is going to be one of those. We've had this APU on our channel for probably about 4 years. It's been great. I was a little upset. So what happened was, we'll get into the story a little bit. I decided to put a smaller heatsink on this CPU, which is totally my fault. Should have thought this one out. It was a 65 watt TDP, or so it said. Heatsink, and this is like, I believe it's a 35 to 65 watt TDP chip. I don't know the exact for it, but basically, I think it was just a little too small of a heatsink. I think that's what happened, and maybe it was burning stuff up. I'm not really sure, but I'm just glad that I pulled it as soon as I noticed the artifacting was a problem. Our temperatures didn't look bad, but you never really know what's going on with these systems. For the most part, I mean, it's good. You should be tracking temperatures. I didn't really see anything extremely bad with our temps, but maybe there was a spike that we just didn't notice, and that, it happens. But your best option is really putting the best heat sinks on that you could find. Well, not, you don't have to go too far out, but at least have something appropriate. I went way too small. Um, you know, if it's 65 watt TDP, maybe try to go a little higher if you can. So we did. I don't think we really saw anything crazy. All right. So I didn't really like the superposition as much as I liked our heaven bench, but that's fine. This is literally, the video is just to test. Basically, if there's any issues with the video output of the motherboard itself, or well, technically the APU. So I don't think there's anything physically wrong with the motherboard by itself. I think if anything is the issue, it's probably the processor. So we're gonna see if that's an issue. So far, I'm not seeing anything extremely bad. After I noticed that there was some artifacting, I ended up upgrading my other rig right off the bat, which I could have probably waited on, but I just didn't really want to think about it too much. I was pretty upset having my 1080 Ti that I've had for a long time, possibly artifacting. So I was just like, you know what? We'll get the AM5 set up, and we'll just see how that goes. And the AM5's been good, but right now for the channel, we're going to be looking at our motherboard. Let's see. Okay. I feel like we need longer testing. Yeah, I feel like we need longer testing. All right, let's go. Let's see, artifact scanner, if it lets us. Okay. Let's see if there's any issues that we could physically see. I think we got the temperatures up a little bit just by, running our last tests. So, really, what was happening was we were running our GPU at 100%, and our whole system was running at near 100. I mean, I was using a application called Narrow. It's a video upscaler, and these video upscalers are extremely taxing on these computers, even more taxing than mining, from what I've noticed, from what I thought. It was pretty much capping out everything. It's absolutely insane. So after that, I decided I'm not going to be using any more upscaling software. It's just, at this point, it's not where it should be. Maybe for photos it would be better, but for full videos that are, just 3 hours long, 4 hours long, it just didn't make any sense. So that I'm probably not going to do from this point on, but we're going to see. Alright, so I'm going to let this go here. Alrighty, guys, so we're officially at 15 minutes as of now, so We just hit the 900-second mark, which is 15 minutes. We haven't seen any issues, but let's see what it says here. Okay. Alright, so we weren't able to see any artifacting with Furmark, but let's try our CPU burner. Okay. So that's good. We didn't see any artifacting. That was our main issue. Generally, if it's going to artifact, it's usually, from what I understand, within the first 10 minutes, but we're going to, we put a little extra time, 15 minutes into our Furmark testing to see if there was, any artifacting, because this is going to be one of our main setups that we do all of our GPU testing. Usually I just kind of use whatever motherboard and computer setup, and I think I'd like to make it a little bit more standardized in that this is going to be the rig to test out all of these GPUs, except for maybe the older GPUs, maybe like the AGP stuff. In that case, we'll use a different motherboard, different system completely. But for the most part, we'll ramble off a couple of the GPUs we have in the works. We have our HD 6870 that I'm going to be putting a nice heatsink on the VRMs. I actually found something custom on eBay. It's going to be pretty cool. We're going to be testing it before and after with the heatsink. I also picked up, because I love this card so much, I picked up a Arctic Extreme cooler, so that's going to be awesome. We're going to get great temps. Maybe we'll overclock a little bit. We don't want to kill it too much because it is one of my favorite cards. We are going to be trying to get the 6870 toxic BIOS on that card, so it might be a little risky again, but these cards are really cheap and it might be worth trying that overclock. Basically, with a different BIOS, you could possibly brick the card, but in our case, hopefully this doesn't happen and we just get a little bit faster of a card out of it. That would be pretty good. Other than that, I believe we have the HD 6950. Let's see what else we have. I mean, we really have so many cards. We have the R9 290. I'm so excited to get that. I've been waiting years, ever since I bought the R9 270, which I don't even know was at 2014. So we also have the what is it? The RX 550. Could be wrong. I can't even think right now. But yeah, we have so many different cards we're going to be testing out. It's going to be crazy, but this is going to be the rig that you guys get to see all of our benchmarks on. So it's awesome. There's a lot more videos we're going to be putting out. Also, if you guys haven't already, just a real quick, little quick one. We have Dubby. Check them out. They sell energy drink powder. Pretty solid. I actually just picked up tiger's blood. So I'll show you guys. I thought it was more like a blood orange type. It's pretty interesting because tiger's blood, it's a strawberry flavored, watermelon flavor. Also, it has coconut flavor in it, so it's definitely pretty good. It's not quite the blood orange that I was looking for, but this is pretty solid. I drink this a lot, probably once every few days. Also, we got the Japanese yuzu. This is my favorite. This is basically like a lemon energy. pretty solid. I got that in the W shakers. They work great. I use them for protein. I use them for creatine. I use them for just about everything. So easy to clean. Can't complain. But again, thanks again for watching, guys. It looks like we've covered firm arc. We've covered superposition. I don't see any issues with the GPU or the CPU. In our case, the APU. So I'm happy enough to say that there is no issues. Maybe it was just a fault of a CPU having a very small heatsink, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it happens. In our case, we're not able to replicate the problem, so I'm gonna say it's fine. If anything does come up in the future, we're gonna be benchmarking a lot. We'll definitely see the issue, and hopefully, and if that's the case, then we'll have to replace some parts. But as of now, I feel very confident. We have 15 minutes firm arc for the GPU. We did our CPU testing. We did our superposition. If you guys have any other good benchmarks we could possibly do for further testing, we could definitely do that. But yeah, we were able to test out our 1080 Ti in our other system. We did the same exact thing. I think we did a little less testing with the 1080 Ti, but I still feel very confident that it may have just been a one-off issue, probably due to the heatsink itself. So this is what we figured out, or at least what I think I figured out. But thanks again for watching, guys. We will have plenty more videos coming out. Stay tuned. This week, next week, the week after, we have videos coming out. Thanks again, guys.